Lakewood Bluffs looked normal enough from the outside. Green lawns, brick facades, SUVs polished to a shine. Cul-de-sacs where kids left chalk drawings on the asphalt. But anyone who lived here long enough knew the real law of the land wasn't the county sheriff or the mayor. It was the HOA. The Homeowners Association didn't just enforce rules, it curated them like commandments carved into stone. Lawn height, mailbox paint, curtain color, the placement of seasonal inflatables, all spelled out in the 64-page Community Standards binder. The binder was thick enough to stun a mule, and Marlene Stokes and our HOA president quoted it like scripture. Marlene wasn't just a rule follower. She was a zealot, a woman who thought she'd been anointed to preserve the sanctity of suburban order. Her voice was nasal, sharp as a trowel, and it carried across the cul-de-sac whenever she held her clipboard like a holy relic. She was the self-proclaimed shepherd of the neighborhood, though most of us thought of her more as a warden. Her wife, Brenda, was quieter, but everyone knew her quirk. She didn't care about lawns or mailboxes or bylaws. She cared about Harleys. 17 of them, to be exact, each one gleaming inside their oversized detached garage like museum pieces. Chrome polished daily, seats conditioned with oils, every bolt tightened as though she were prepping for a magazine shoot. She called them her girls. Most people laughed about it behind her back. Brenda and her harem of hogs, but not to her face. You didn't joke with Brenda about the bikes, and then there was us. Me, Dave Harper, 38, project manager for a logistics company. Ordinary enough except for my inability to keep my mouth shut when authority oversteps. And my wife Kelly, the heart of the household. She was a holiday decorator through and through. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. She brought out bins from the attic like a one-woman Macy's parade department. She wasn't careless, though. She checked outlets, bought timers, kept cords neat. She just loved lights. The way they warmed a neighborhood and softened the edges of winter. But in Lakewood Bluffs, love of lights was a crime. The day it began, it was December 3rd, a crisp Saturday morning. Kelly was on the ladder with a coil of LED icicles. I was steadying the base, sipping coffee and grinning as she hummed, "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree." She had one side of the roofline done when a black SUV rolled up. Not the sheriff's department, not code enforcement, something worse. On the side of the SUV was a vinyl decal, HOA Enforcement Division. I nearly choked on my coffee. What the hell is that? Two men stepped out. They wore navy polos with patches stitched on the sleeve, a circular logo that said Lakewood Bluffs HOA Security Unit. They had radios clipped to their belts, and one of them carried a clipboard like it was a sidearm. "Ma'am," the clipboard guy barked, "please step off the ladder. You are in violation of Community Bylaw 14.2, premature holiday illumination." Kelly blinked down at him. Premature what? The holiday light installation period begins December 10th and runs through January 5th, he recited. Any decor displayed before or after this period constitutes a violation, she laughed. It's just lights. I haven't even plugged them in yet. The second man stepped forward, pulling a pair of stainless steel handcuffs from his belt like he'd been waiting his whole life for this moment. "Ma'am, step down. You're interfering with an enforcement action." I shot upright. "Are you kidding me? You're not cops. You're..." "Sir," clipboard guy cut me off. "We are deputized under the Lakewood Bluffs HOA Charter, Section 5.2 to ensure compliance." "That's not a law," I snapped. "That's a pamphlet." But they were already moving. Kelly came down the ladder, still holding the lights. Handcuffed guy grabbed her wrists and clicked the cuffs shut with a smug grin. The sound, snick, snick, was louder than it should have been. Metal on metal, cold in the morning air. "Hey," I lunged forward, but clipboard blocked me. "She's being detained for violation," he said, as if this were normal. Kelly's eyes went wide, more in disbelief than fear. "You can't be serious." "For Christmas lights?" Handcuff guy tightened his grip. "You'll have to contest it with the board." And then, as if scripted, Marlene herself appeared, striding down the sidewalk with her robe belted and her ever-present clipboard in hand. "Good work, gentlemen," she said. "Mrs. Harper, I warned you last year about testing the bylaws. We won't tolerate repeat offenders." Neighbors peeked out from curtains. Some came onto porches, phones out, recording. One guy, Rick from 3 doors down, one muttered, "Damn, HOA's going full Gestapo." Kelly struggled against the cuffs, cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "You're humiliating me in front of the whole neighborhood," Marlene smirked. Maybe humiliation will teach you respect for the rules. Something snapped in me right then. I didn't swing. I didn't scream. But my blood went hot and a thought planted itself like a seed in stone. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. The fines, they uncuffed her after 10 minutes once they'd finished their show. But the damage was done. Kelly rubbed her wrists, red marks clear as day, while Marlene scribbled notes. The next morning, taped to our door, were 2 violation slips. Unauthorized holiday decor, $250 fine. Interference with enforcement, $500 fine, and a note in Marlene's handwriting. Further non-compliance will result in escalated action. By the end of the week, there were more: trash can visible after 6:15 a.m., $100 fine. Mailbox paint fading, $75 fine. Grass length inconsistent, $50 fine. It was harassment, plain and simple. A financial chokehold dressed up as governance. Kelly taped the fines to the fridge like trophies. Let them stack, she said. Every one of these is evidence. But I could see how it ate at her. She wouldn't hum anymore while putting up decorations. The cuffs had stolen something from her. Her joy, her pride, her light. And I wasn't going to forgive that. Whispers, the neighborhood was buzzing. Some folks came by quietly, muttering their support. Old Mr. Henderson from across the street shook his head. Been saying for years Marlene's out of control. But Brenda, she's the key. She worships those bikes. Knock those down and the whole tower falls. He said it like advice, then shuffled back to his porch. Others avoided us. Fear does that. Makes people pretend they didn't see. But the seed had already been planted in my head. Brenda's Harleys. 17 of them, each worth more than my car, sitting in that garage like trophies. If humiliation was the currency Marlene dealt in, then maybe it was time we paid her back in kind. The last straw on December 9th, one day before the legal date for lights, Kelly plugged them in anyway. Just a soft glow on the porch, nothing extravagant. The next morning, our power was cut. I stomped outside, furious, and found the HOA's fake enforcers at the junction box with a padlock tagged HOA authorized access only. They'd literally shut off our electricity. Kelly stood beside me, robe pulled tight, shivering in the cold. Her face was pale, but her eyes blazed. That's it, she said. I want blood, and that's when we knew. The Harleys weren't just a weak spot. They were the bullseye. We weren't going to fight fines with appeals or humiliation with polite resistance. We were going to turn her kingdom into ash.